Mhm. Okay. Thank you very much for your participation. Today, we would like to show the results of our project, the first results of our project that we are working right now. It's funded by the National Science Center of Poland. And the project is, the title for today is the AI-powered archival research, the Mape engine for the National Archives from Lisbon. So Sadam, please, next slide. And also, we would like to thank our colleagues, our three colleagues. Demi, he's also here. He's participating today also in this presentation, and he's our collaborator of our project, Clodomir Santana, and also Irani. So during last few months, we have been working intensively on this project. Okay. And just to make a small introduction, I will present the scope of our presentation, how will be the flow. As we said, it will be up to 50 minutes maximum. So we have like 4 important parts to discuss. The first one will be just a short introduction and motivation, why actually we wanted to do this. And then Saddam will present the second and third part, the data and methods, and also Mape engine and how it works, what features it has. And then the last part also that I will be finishing this presentation, a historian's perspective, actually what we can do having with this tool, with this application, based on the case study of the humanitarian crisis. And then, as I said, a short introduction and motivation. For those of you who don't know the Arquivo Histórico Ultramarino de Lisboa, the overseas archives from Lisbon, located in Portugal, in Lisbon, it's actually the most important archives that we have from the Portugal overseas space. Maybe the next slide, please, Saddam. Why it is important and why this is so fascinating and why this is also so challenging. So as I said, it's the main Portuguese archive for the Portuguese early modern period. And we could compare it also with, for example, with Spanish archives, or in England, you also had the centralized institutions that gathered and collected the information from the colonies. So this is also very challenging because in this archive we have hundreds and thousands of records of different kind of documents. And what is also very interesting is that actually you will have information about, or you will have this correspondence from very, very different type of documents, but also topics. So actually you will have information about society, about religion, about bureaucracy, about the colonial institutions. So anything as you can imagine actually connected to the Portuguese colonial space, you will find in this archive. And of course, most of the researchers and historians doing their research, master and PhD on the Portuguese Empire, this is the archive that is actually obligatory for your research. And as I said, also the challenges that researchers have or used to have, it's because it's huge, it's very heterogeneous. And if you would like actually, and this part of the research and to find the documents, the correct documents, it's very challenging. And also it can be very, very time consuming. The next, please, Saddam. And also many archives are trying to create some kind of categories, thematic categories, to a little bit facilitate the users the access to the archives, something that can be observed in the, for example, in the National Archives in Brazil or the National Archives in England. When you already enter the website, you can see like topics or to search by topic, which in such huge archives is very important, because once you enter the archive, you can be kind of lost. And as we also said, those topic classification is getting more and more, is attracting more and more researchers. For example, our colleague Jusieni Ricarte Cardozo, she, for example, prepared like 3 volumes on specific topics from those archives, but only from the Brazilian part. and she published the books and volumes only on the topic related to women, indigenous, and Black people, Black communities. But as I said, it's very time consuming, and it's always based on the manual extraction. So in the last few months, we have been also checking different ways actually how to make a good topic classification to understand actually the nature of this archive. So what we are speaking about, mostly we have a very fragmentary knowledge. We know what kind of information we can find, but still we don't have this huge scope of the information. So that's why we started also to experiment with LLM, with large language models, and it became very successful, actually. It was a very successful methodology for us. So the next one, Saddam. And this is just a simple visualization to show you how many topics you can find in this kind of documents about the military, about the travel, about institutions, financial conflict, land disputes. So actually, you can find anything you want in this kind of archives. Saddam? And also something that we have been doing with the topic modeling, and this was also one of our motivation, as I said, to understand what is behind, what we can find in those documents. So just to give you a feeling more or less of what kind of information we can find in the archives, we created kind of categories, topic categories also to understand the nature of the archive. So as you can see, 23% of the colonial correspondence is related to military, then colonial administration, government administration, trade, maritime trade, religious affairs, land and property, and travel affairs. And also we created subcategories, something that maybe we are not going to speak so much in this presentation about this, but we have also different levels of the categories to understand the nature of the archive. And this is a short presentation, also a short video, so then you can, before we are going into the details, you can see what the application that we have created, how it looks like. Okay, so then we are going into the data and methods. So please, next slide, Saddam, please.
Yeah. After
And this is just a short explication of about what kind of data we are speaking about. So this is about the official correspondence of the Atlantic Portuguese Empire. We are speaking about the catalogs from the Atlantic space. There are dozens of catalogs connected to different parts of Brazil, but also we have Madeira, Cabo Verde, Guinea, Angola, part of Mozambique, but we are mostly concentrated on the Atlantic Portuguese Empire. And what is very important also to explain in this moment is that we are working with the catalog. So we still do not have access to the handwritten transcriptions of the documents. It will be the next stage. And also, as you can see, we have also here the statistics about the whole the catalog. So we are speaking about approximately 180,000 records from this from the correspondence from the early modern period. From the beginning of the 17th century, mostly when the Overseas Council was created, until the 30s of the 19th century. We also made some estimation that if somebody would like to manually actually work on those catalogs, it would take 14 years working 8 hours every day to manually analyze it. Okay, so then we are going to the methodological part. Please, Saddam.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Okay. Okay. My presentation is quite divided in two parts. First, I will just give you the brief introduction of what large language models are, what are their current limitations. Then I will just go through the tool that we have developed. I will just give you the brief overview of what are the features in the tool and what's the working behind that. Okay. So at the moment, the large language model is the talk of the town. Everybody knows about it. So the basic definition, or the layman definition, could be it's a advanced AI-based autocomplete system. It's being trained on diverse data of different types, text, video, audio, and anything, and also diverse sources, which could be coming from books, articles, and websites, and what we know, it could be anything. Using that training data, basically LLMs tries to figure out, what could be the next word. So for example, if you are going to type the sky is, there's a likelihood, high probability that the next word will be a blue. So they are kind of, highly advanced autocomplete system, okay? So what you are basically, in order to interact with the LLM, you have a question and you feed this to the LLM, and LLM generate the response. And pretty much LLM can do, a lot of things. They can, answer your any query. If you give them a huge text, they can summarize in whatever way you want. They can translate from one language to another. And even though they can generate entire new content, also they are very good in providing the code also. And also they can analyze the sentiment. And yeah, these are all the things that LLM can do, but there is a small limitation with the LLM is that they don't know the current information that's happening. Although the modern platform like ChatGPT provides a way that if you type the question and that question, if you would just want to know about the latest news, it will try to fetch the latest news for you. But just consider that if they are isolated with the internet or anything, if you need to have a certain new information, they will not be able to provide you. Or if there is information which is very classified and it's not available on the public, and they will also not be able to give you the answer related to that. Okay. In order to overcome that limitation, typically there is another system which is broadly used, which is a retrieval augmented generation. This is the approach which basically provides relevant context to the LLM. It's an approach where LLM is combined with a retrieval mechanism to generate a final answer. So previously you saw that the LLM was given a prompt and it was a generating answer. But over here, if you see, there is a specific knowledge that is being given to the LLM in order to give you the final answer. Okay, so I will slightly open this more to give you the more context about this particular system. Okay, so if you can see, this is the entire pipeline of how you can build, build a RAG system. So let's suppose there is a data set that you have and it's highly classified, it's not being shared anywhere, but you have the data set. Okay, so the initial stages comes over here. You put that data set in any particular database, and then you have certainly every data set have two components. One which is a metadata, And then there is the original content for it. Metadata could be, certain index, or, it could be year, or it could be source, or anything, which could be, comes into the category of a metadata. So what you do, you try to chunk it and store it into the, in a certain way. So over here, for building a reg, what we typically do is we try to divide the, your database into the chunks. Then we convert those chunks into the, numerical embeddings, and we store them into the database. Okay, so this is a simple procedure over here, if you see. Now, let's suppose if you just want to question to your data set, let's suppose you put the question, that question will also be embedded by the same model which you did over here, and it will go to your database, and it will try to find the relevant documents for that. Okay. Once it will get the relevant documents, it will feed to the LLM, and LLM will, based on the new fetch content, it will give you the response. Okay. So just consider this. This is any news source or anything or any data that you have. You put the query. Query will find the relevant documents. Once the relevant documents are found, they will be fed to the LLM, and LLM will get the answer. Okay. So in our case, what we did is we took the data source, which is currently based in a highly unstructured way over here in this site. And then we turn it towards the something like, in a nice representation or structured way, where you can see that there's a document ID, we have a document source, and this is the original content, okay, or here document text, and there's a reference code and something like that, okay? So this is the final representation of our data set. So what we did is we took the open source LLM, and in our case, we took the model which is developed by the Meta AI, and the model is a Llama 3.2 model. It's a 3 billion parameter model, and it can be easily downloaded by using this site. It's an excellent model in performing instruction tune. So whatever you will give the prompt, it will try to generate the answer in that way. Okay. So our goal was to just give me a second. Our goal was if we have a text, something like this, we wanted to take each text with a topic. Okay, so let's suppose this is a unique text, and we just wanted to feed to the LLM and get a topic out of it. What I mean by topic is what's the main theme around this particular original text, whatever in the text is, you have to assign a certain concise topic that will, give a nonce of this whole text. Okay, so I will show you the example. Let's suppose we have a certain, text, something related to the, promotion or rank or something like that. We fed this to the model, and we especially prompted the model in a way that you have to skip the names or any locations or anything. You have to understand what's the theme around this particular topic. Okay, so this is a unique, correspondence we gave to the LLM, and LLM said, okay, based on this, the topic is request for military promotion. Okay, so if I will give you the next example, it's also something related to a new copy of certain provisional. The original have been destroyed by an earthquake, so it will assign a unique topic to it. Okay, so in this way, we took all 180,000 documents and we feed iteratively to the LLM, and LLM generate a unique topic for it. Okay, so we feed the LLM, and LLM was giving us a unique topic. Okay, so once we were having all the topics, basically the flow of this whole, topic generation was something like this. It's like, you load the data set, you assign the topic to it, and then, save this assigned topic into the database. Okay. There's one problem with the LLM is sometimes they generate the topic which is either oversimplistic or it's quite irrelevant. So in order to avoid that particular thing, we need a certain way where we can validate that whatever the topic was generated by LLM, whether it fits to the input text given. So in this case, let's suppose, if you see this one example, and the topic generated is quite over, simplistic. I would just like petition by this to the king requesting the restitution of her property, which belonged to her, is the daughter of captain, and this one. So this is a topic given by LLM. It's quite, not capturing the nonce of this particular correspondence. Okay. So how we can, navigate that when LLM is underperforming or when LLM is, overperforming. So there is a one metric that is typically used, which is like, you convert the input text and assign text into some numerical representation, and then try to compute the some distance or similarity between them. Okay, so if the similarity is high, it means that the model has performed good. If it is very low, then the model is underperforming. So in our case, what we did is like, this is the input text and this is the topic. We fed to the embedding model. In this case, we took this particular model. It's a multilingual model having 768 dimensions. And it converted the, this one into the numerical representation and also topic into the numerical representation. So the idea is like, if the two matrices are in a, having a similar meaning, they will lie together. And if they are quite different, they will lie, at quite a distance. So in this case, if you can see, there is a cat and dog. They are in a very quite proximity. And if you see the fruits, which are like apple and banana, they are quite at a distance. Okay. So what we did is we took the input text, then we give to the LLM, and it generated this particular, and we saw that it's, the cosine similarity is quite low, and we rejected this particular topic. Okay. Next step was we brought another LLM, which was kind of acting as a policing LLM or a monitoring LLM. What it was trying to do is, all those topics which were being rejected, they were fed to the monitoring LLM with the input text, and its job was to, to fine tune the rejected topic in something more coherent. So this particular LLM was prompted in such a way that you have to see that what was the input given and what was the topic generated by the first LLM. Then you have to, fine tune this one into the more coherent way. Okay. So in this case, if you can see that this LLM generated this particular topic in this way. Then what we did is we computed again cosine similarity, and we saw that the cosine similarity was quite, above the threshold, and we put this into the, accepted category. To summarize this whole thing, whole overall flow, it looks like this. You took the text and you took all the topics that were generated in the first stage. You embed those, then you assign a certain threshold, and put those topics which are accepted, or those which are above the threshold, into the another category, and those which are below the threshold, put them into the monitoring LLM, and then you repeat this whole cycle. Okay. Yeah. So I will go to explain the tool that we build, or using the LLM and these all embedding models. Okay. Yeah, so this is a small presentation related to that, and I will explain you all the features related to that too.
And also the very important thing is just don't look at how on its visualization, because of course the last product and the last final stage of the of our work will be to create a nice visualization. So this is the engine, how it works, and what features we can have, and what actually we are able to do with this information that we have right now and that we have processed.
Okay, so let me explain it further.
Yeah, so we will be explaining the features part.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And this is, of course, yes, as Demi also said, this is in progress. And the final product will be also a little bit different, but this is how the engine works like. And maybe just a short introduction, because also Saddam will explain in detail what was important. But then some features that we found important as users, as historians, and as engineers as well, were 5 important points. The first one was bilingual, because in most of the archives, you only work with the language of the archive. In case of Portuguese one, it's only in Portuguese. So we translated everything into English. So now you can choose. We have also topic suggestions, which was very important for us. This was also good suggestions from Saddam, that if somebody enters the archive, the user doesn't have an idea of what kind of information he can find. So we created something as topic suggestions. We also have a search option, which will be different from a traditional archive search option. So you have not only a keyword, but keyword that understand a bigger context, and also semantic search. We have also, of course, year range filtering. And what is the most important one is that this is dataset exclusive. So we eliminate the hallucinations of the LLM, because we only concentrate on our dataset. So actually what is not in those catalogs of the Arquivo, Histórico, Ultramarino, and if you are going to make a question about something different, you will not get a hallucinated answer, because it is not part of the data set. So this is only based on our data set, and so far is not connected to any archives. But you also have to remember that everything that we are doing in digital history is something that you can repeat in other archives as well. So this model works for the Arquivo Histórico Ultramarino, but could also work for Arquivo Militar de Lisboa, or to other archives that also have a kind of similar structure, let's say. Okay, Saddam.
Okay. Yeah. So the first part of the tool is like, one is a chatbot and another is a search engine. So the first I will discuss is a, chatbot. Chatbot is like, whenever you will query, it will try to first find the relevant documents for it. And once you got the relevant documents, it will feed to the LLM, and LLM will try to format the response, okay? The one thing that I earlier discussed in detail, okay? So in this case, let's suppose I have put what were the natural disasters that happened, enlist them. So the question is quite generic. If you see, this is a natural disasters, and it is trying to bring that, okay, there's earthquakes, tsunamis, fire, and floods. And each of the response is also being tagged with a certain reference, okay? So the reference looks like this. You have a reference code, you have a document source, you have a, doc URL, and doc here and everything. And also you can download the entire chat as a TXT also, okay? Yeah, this is the same thing that I already repeated. It put the query, then it went to the database, and it just format the whole response, okay? So just to give you the, if you want to get the most out of the data, there is a certain tips that I have, put into this slide is like, you have to first, give a certain background whenever you are trying to query. If you give, the more brief background, you will get the more better answer. And let's suppose, you have to use the relevant keywords also. Let's suppose you are saying that, okay, how many correspondence were related to the earthquake in particular location. It will give you the, the more concise answer, okay? And also ask one question at a time. It's like, when you are trying to put a question, it should be related to the one theme. You should not put the question into the having a two distinct themes. Something like you are trying to find trade related topics, and you are putting some other thing is like earthquake. So these are quite different things. So the LLM will get confused. So at each time, in order to have a better answer, you put a one question at a time, okay? And also, since the documents are quite diverse, you also, if you are going to put the document type, it will give you the more accurate answer. And lastly, how you basically want the answer from LLM. Either you want a very descriptive, or you want just a short summary. You should mention these things in your query. And also, you just want to have an answer in list form or in a very detailed form. So this can give you all the the way you want, okay? Yeah, now we have also a chat history option, but I will now discuss with the, okay, yeah, there's a one more option, as Dr. Agatha was explaining, that we have English and Portuguese version also too. So if you put the question into this particular language, Portuguese language, it will give you the answer into the same language. Okay. Okay. Now we have a search engine. In search engine, the first feature is like, let's suppose you are trying to find something related to the hunger issues. If you will press this button, it will give you that based on this particular keyword, we have topics which are some related to this one. So let's suppose I put the hunger issues, it will give you that, okay, we have food shortages and requests for aid. And so if you can put like, natural disasters, it can give you the suggestions accordingly. Okay. Yeah, so we have three kind of search functions. One is a semantic, another is a keyword, and the last one is a hybrid. So I will explain the semantic part. Semantic search is like, you don't know the exact keyword of that particular thing that you are trying to find, but you just have a kind of bigger name for that particular query. Like you are trying to put a natural disaster, so natural disasters comes under the earthquake, heavy rains, floods, or anything, So this particular option will be very helpful when you don't know the keyword, and it will, give you all the relevant results. Okay. So once you put the natural disasters, you will get the results something like this. So we have a actual correspondence, and then the translation of it, and this is a particular metadata. Okay. So I've just put the semantic search example. Let's suppose you have put the descriptive question like, death in Cape Verde due to the famine and drought. So the top result it brought is, okay, these are the, how many deaths that occurred in Cape Verde. Okay, so the question is quite, in detail, and it brought the result like this. Okay. Yeah, and then there is something like gold smuggling issues. You put this particular query, and it brought a result for you. Okay, so this is a semantic part. And then there is another search feature, which is a keyword. A keyword is like, you are very sure that this particular keyword will be present in the data set. And then you can put the keyword and you will get the result, So the good part about the keyword is like, let's suppose earthquake, you are very sure that this particular word will be there. You will get all the matching documents related to that one. So let's suppose over here, I put the earthquake and I found almost 118 results related to that particular thing. Okay, so there are a couple of more examples related to the keyword. I have put the gold. You will get the correspondence related to the gold, almost 4,000. Or if you want to search about ship, which is almost 16,000, correspondence you can see over here, or something related to church you can find over here. Okay, now the third part comes with the hybrid mechanism, where you want to put the keyword and a semantic also. Okay, so you want to search in a way that utilize these both things. So what basically happens is pretty much over here, if you can see that you will assign the weightage to the semantic and a keyword. Over here, let's suppose I have put you have put the 70% score to the semantic and 30% to the over here. It depends on you, the way you want. You can lower this part, or you can increase this part. You can fine tune iteratively to see that how the results are coming over here. Okay, so over here I have just put the table that if you see that I put the query which is related to the gold trade, and it brought the results over here, and this is its semantic score, and this is its keyword score. Then what we are doing is we are utilizing this formula to get the final scoring, and then we will either fetch the top 2 results or 10 results up to this one. Okay. Yeah. Or here we have, you can filter your entire data results by, any data filter, the ER filter that you want to put. And then if you are going to search the results, you will get the format either in a very descriptive format, or you can get the entire table, something like this, so that you can easily download, or you can filter over here within a tool. And these are the quick summaries of of your related query. So let's suppose if I have just put the earthquake, I just want to see that in quick visualization that this particular correspondence is in how many sources. You can see that very quickly, or here, okay, this particular query is having a distribution something like this. You can have a complete timeline of that particular query. If you can see this, okay, starting from here up to here. So this is to give you the cutting to the ears. If you want to see that what kind of topics that were discussed in that particular query, let's suppose this is related to the earthquake, and if you see there is a natural disaster which is quite high, then there's a governance, crisis, economic, or something like this. So this will give you some basic idea that, okay, what will be the, in these particular fetch results, Or if you are interested that what's the, person names in that particular fetched query, you can have a quick sneak peek of, all the persons that are being discussed in query. And this is a higher level categorization of, the fetched query. It's just like, data catalogs that this particular earthquake query can be related to the, urban development, royal favor aid, or financial supports, So this is basically the higher level grouping of that particular query. Yeah.
And now also, when you already know about how it works behind, what is the engine, what kind of features we have. So then we have, as a historians, we have questions. So what we actually can do with this is artificial intelligence going to substitute us or something like this. So then I would like also to show you the case study, humanitarian crisis, what we can do. So actually also, as we mentioned several times during this presentation, so the traditional way to find the proper document in any archive is very challenging, time-consuming. And this is, for example, also the website of the Arquivo Histórico Ultramarino, which is, of course, also the good one, but what limitations we have? For example, first of all, you should be an expert in the language as well, because if I'm looking for the earthquake in the traditional way in the archives, on the website of the archives, you have to think about different words connected to this. In Portuguese, actually, also have two words for the earthquake, terremoto and terremoto. So there is a small difference in one letter, but then, of course, in the traditional way of looking for those kind of documents, you are not going to find it. So, for example, when I was looking for the terremoto, I only found like 31 results, and it was just based on the keywords. Saddam?
Yeah.
And then, for example, also when we started to find for those keywords about the natural disasters, again, you have to be an expert in the language, because we were looking first, before using LLM, before our application, we were applying some traditional topic modeling, and we also faced many challenges. As you can see here, we needed to think about what kind of disasters we can find in the Portuguese Empire, about the specific words, and also how the word also can be described in the archives. The next one. So, for example, when we were looking for drought, it could be called in different ways, because if you are looking for the word seca in Portuguese, it will only show the words connected to seca. But sometimes, of course, in the archives, the documents can be described in a different way, as, for example, here, the lack of water, sobre asfaltas de água, or sterility and lack of rains, sua esterilidade por falta de chuvas. So, of course, in this way, you are not going to find the information about the drought in a traditional way. Then, of course, still before, when we were trying to find those information, we were not as successful as nowadays with this search. As you can see here, it was still before the LLM, before our application. And actually, I was interested because I was still trying to understand. And as you can see, the whole process of searching for this was very, very time consuming, from understanding the words of the natural disasters that you have, how you can call it in Portuguese, what other ways we have call this natural disaster in the Portuguese language. And of course, still, I was filtering all the time because, of course, naufragio, it's not a natural disaster, but somehow I was going from the bigger view to much more filtered. And now, with our new results, we can have quite satisfactory results. As you can see now, when we are looking for the natural disasters through our methodologies, you can already get better results. For example, here, natural disasters, epidemics and pandemics, environmental degradations, human displacement, and resource scarcity. So I actually get a better view of what kind of information I can really find in our archives right now. And also, yes, can you back? Can you come back, Saddam?
Yeah, sorry.
I think it went.
Or here? Or
No,
one more
back, one back.
Or here?
Yes. So also something that Saddam explained as well about this get suggestions, which we believed was something very helpful, because when I was interested in humanitarian crisis, natural disasters, and also the way how to find it, and through our topic modeling and the models and the thematic categories that we already have, I can get some more, of course, ideas of what else I can find. So when I, for example, put here humanitarian crisis and I asked for suggestions, of course, as you can see, maybe somebody can already criticize that maybe some names are too contemporary, but as we said, this is just in the progress, and some aesthetical or very last adjustments we will be also doing through our work. But what is important, it works and it gives results. So by suggestions also, it gives me idea actually what kind of information also I can find around humanitarian crisis in the early modern Portuguese Empire. So as you can see, it can be about the crisis in military context, environmental crisis, humanitarian efforts, or supply and aid chains, and also food crisis. And this is also based on our topic categories for those 180,000 registers. Saddam? And also, what is also important, as you can see, and also as we explained the features that we can have, this is also important maybe for us historians to think about how to make questions again, something that Saddam also explained already. But this is maybe the way how, as historians, we have to learn how to communicate with artificial intelligence, and you can make different kind of questions. And as you can see, those are depending, of course, on what kind of questions you make, from very general to very detailed one, you can get different responses. What is important, every time you have the access to the original document, so you can always come back, you can always check and get deeper into your document. So for example, like when we use this prompt called zero-shot prompting, which is very general one, and it just, can you describe the earthquake? We know that there was one important earthquake in Lisbon, so we can already imagine that the LLM will understand and will more or less know what kind of information I'm looking for. So as you can see, this is kind of general information, but at least it gives me some idea. Okay, so what kind of information I can find based on earthquake? But then, of course, you can make more detailed questions. So the next slide, Saddam. So for example, again, as we have, for example, one-shot prompting. So it's not only about the whole earthquake, but something very specific about this earthquake. Also, as Saddam mentioned, you always have to, talking actually to LLM, to artificial intelligence, you have always to remember about what kind of questions you want to make, what kind of information you want to extract. So with, for example, one-shot prompting is more or less the general question about after the earthquake, but I am specifically interested in one thing, what Marquês de Pombal did. So then, again, I can get the answers based on our archives, and also some answers and also some references to the documents, and then I can go to the general and the main website of the archives, where all the historical documents are digitalized, at least for Brazil and Cabo Verde, most of them, they are already, all of them, they are digitized, and still information for Angola or Madeira, you still have to go physically to Portugal to get those documents. The next one. And also this, what is also important, as you can see, based on what kind of question you make, you can extract different information. When we treat and we think about also our application as information retrieval, you also have to make the question about, for example, and list top 5 most important measures taken to help Lisbon after the earthquake. And then again, we can get those very specific, customed actually answers about the collections of donations, royal letters, establishment of boards for receiving donations, reports and communication, religious observance. And of course, again, as historians, you always have to be critical with this. So we are still testing, we are checking if there are no hallucinations. So probably in the following months or weeks also, or with the help of different users that can give us feedback, also we will be improving this. So as we said, this is still in progress, but the results are quite satisfying. And again, the other option to make question in our application, in our app, is content summarization with specific focus. So as I said, from the very general view to searching for something very, very specific. So for example, what strategies they had for reconstruction of Lisbon after the earthquake. And again, you can see collections, donations, subsidies from Minas Gerais, but not only from Minas Gerais. So as you can see here, we had it only mentioned Minas Gerais, but as a historian, I also know that it came also from other regions, from Brazil, from Pernambuco, from Bahia. So you always have to be critical and make more detailed questions, actually. The next one. And the same here, as you can see, what measures were taken to provide relief during periods of famine in Cabo Verde. Then again, you can have you can get those kind of answers about local measures, and always with the reference to the empire, to the archives. Then the same, for example, about people, because again, as historians, we have to learn how to make questions differently from what we used to make before. So then, for example, we are interested in people, identify people, governors, majors, missionaries involved in famine relief efforts in Cabo Verde. And then also you get the answers, you get the answers always with the references to the archives. And of course, you can always download it. And then at least you have the idea of what kind of people we are speaking about, how to find more information about them, and cross, for example, the governor Francisco José Teixeira Carneiro with also other governors from other archives. But at least you get the name of people that you can already look for also in other archives.
Yeah.
And also what is important, what was really nice, yes, please, Saddam, next.
Yeah.
So also, because as we are working with a huge data, actually, as we are saying 180,000 registers, so this is always very challenging. That's why the idea was, as you could see in the previous section about the features of our application, also to get some visualization on this big data, actually. So for example, here with when we have our topic classification, and we have also you can see the statistics. For example, this is the chart, document frequency by topic and year related to drought, to SECA. And then, because I am in my research now interested how it changed before and after the earthquake, what approaches or like how Lisbon's approach changed after the earthquake towards other humanitarian crises. So also this is quite helpful to find the topics, to see, for example, how those topics were distributed in time, across regions. This is for actually for the general, for all the catalogs together. But then, of course, you can filter it by topic. And then, as for example, you can see also how in the 80s it changed a lot, and how many topics were also involved, speaking about drought.
Yeah, this is
And
yeah. Okay.
this is also the way how we think, because this is the application is one, but also we are making more questions and we are still playing with this huge data. For example, when we were thinking about this the natural disasters, the earthquake, we also needed to think about a good way how to visualize it. So this is the next step, also one more step. So, for example, I was thinking about the earthquake, about early warning, event action, and the relief. And then this was the model, for example, that we were interested in. So as you can see, it's not like you're going to get everything. Sometimes you also have to create a model for a specific subject. So maybe you will need something extra, some other way to approach the topic or your case study.
Yeah.
And then, for example, also we created kind of the heat map for the earthquake, again, based on what you saw before, the event religious response, event impact reporting, warnings, early warnings, event loss relief, and even event administrative response. And we were looking for those documents, how we can find them, how they can be cataloged, and actually always thinking about a broader way, about across time and space. So yes, now we would like to share the link with you with to the application. So Saddam, can you send in the?
Yes, sure. Let
So,
me.
and there's something important is that now we don't think, because it can be slow if too many people are entering, but it's not about the technical problem, it's just the question of the server, because now it's on one cloud with specific also limit. So if you are going to share it with everybody, it will stop probably. So don't worry about how fast or not it is, because this is just the cloud matter. And as we said, the visualization and the final product could be a little bit different. But what is important is the search engine. So the features will stay, but the way how of course the final product and on the website will be different. So here you can also enter. I think in the chat, you already have the link to our application. So you can also play with this to check. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is this. Thank you very much.